Hey, everybody. Those of you who listen to my channel a lot know that I'm a big fan of real estate stocks, specifically real estate investment trusts or REITs, but you don't have to necessarily buy individual REITs to get the benefit of them. Before we get started, please take a minute to click subscribe to my channel and check out the link you see on your screen right now for a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool, where you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now. So, there are a bunch of different ETFs and mutual funds that allow you to invest in real estate. And there are just a couple of big ones and a few that are very specialized. So I'm just going to kind of cut through them and give you my three favorites. First of all, who should invest in these ETFs? One, if you want the income benefits and the long term growth exposure and the lower volatility that comes with REITs, but you don't know how to evaluate them, you don't really understand how they work. There are different types of companies than most stocks. There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting that portion of your portfolio on autopilot by buying some ETFs. One thing a lot of investors don't understand about REITs is that they do have comparable total return potential or even more to the overall stock market. Historically, real estate has delivered returns that have been slightly ahead of the S&P 500 over time when you look at total returns. Now, they've done that with less volatility. If you look at the beta of the real estate sector over the past few years, it's lower than the S&P 500. So that's something to keep in mind. I always advise that people should have real estate exposure in their portfolio, maybe 10, 15% of your portfolio in real estate. It is a nice hedge because it doesn't really move in tandem with the overall stock market. I mentioned it's low volatility, but there's nothing wrong with using ETFs to do it. So let's take a look. So the biggest real estate ETF out there by far, and one that is probably my favorite for most investors, is the Vanguard Real Estate ETF. Ticker symbol is VNQ. It has about $70 billion in total fund assets. So a pretty big ETF, especially for a sector ETF. It has a yield of about 3.8% right now. That will change over time. Like all ETFs, what this does is it invests in an index that tracks the real estate sector. It's made up of dozens of REITs, and it pools the dividends of the stocks it owns and distributes them to investors. So as those underlying REITs hopefully increase their dividends over time, the dividend you get from the Vanguard Real Estate ETF should increase as well. It has a very low expense ratio of just 0.12%. So what this means is for every $10,000 invested in this fund, your annual investment expenses are just $12. So over time, you get to keep a lot more of your gains as compared to some actively managed ETFs and mutual funds. Next one that I like is just kind of like a diversification play is the Vanguard Global XUS Real Estate ETF. Another Vanguard fund, same exact 0.12% expense ratio. Ticker symbol is VNQI. And this invests in a basket of about 700 REITs, all of which are based outside of the US. I consider myself somewhat of a REIT expert, and I don't really like to try to evaluate REITs that are in, say, Japan or a lot of other markets around the world. And this gives you exposure to them. Nice little hedge against currency fluctuations. And a lot of REITs in foreign markets trade for significantly lower valuations than their US counterparts. So it could be a nice little, long-term return booster if things go well in the rest of the world for real estate. Number three, probably my favorite subsector of real estate right now is residential. So that's why I included the iShares Residential and MultiSector Real Estate Fund. Ticker symbol is REZ, as you can see right there, about $700 million in assets, by far the smallest fund of the three, but pretty standard size for something that's very specialized like this. It yields a little over 3%. It does have a higher expense ratio, which is not uncommon for more specialized ETFs. Invests in a basket of REITs, most of which are residential, meaning like apartment developers and things like that. And we have a severe housing shortage in the US right now. Most estimates put it about 6 million additional housing units needed to fully house our population. And I think residential REITs will be a big part of the solution to that over the next decade or so. So those are my three favorite REIT ETFs right now. Um, Again, Most people would be just fine just buying the Vanguard Real Estate ETF, but if you want to diversify a little bit, that's why I included those other two. And hope please leave me any comments in. I will try my best to answer them all individually, and hopefully you like this. And thanks for watching. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment, so I am proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you their 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by more than 3 times, so go to fool.com/Frankel to get your 10 stock picks now. The Motley Fool Stock Advisor returns are 391% as of February 22nd, 2023, and are measured against the S&P 500 returns of 116% as of February 22nd, 2023.